Okay, welcome back, everybody, or all two persons, whatever. Yes, I'm not going to advertise part two just because, um, just because. Hold on a sec. Okay. Um, I'm not spamming part two because it's the same link, and if you don't know, well, if you're a new person, obviously you're not going to know, but I'm going to presume that those that were with me, uh, part one will be able to uh, figure out when part two is, because I posted on everything, so that should be, hopefully it'll be enough, but we'll see. It's just a game on my phone. Um, shoot, I should have a like almost have a directory of chapters and things, but I kind of don't right now. Um, Maybe I'll do that some other time. Uh, okay, back. Let's see. And see, me my chapters, and I'll figure this thing out. Okay, so I'm gonna do, let's see, let me check something here. Let's go to what was that? What is that? Chapter 5. A way out. Why did that ID get turned around? That's not right. Way out. That's weird. I must have saved it at a point when it didn't have a name yet or something. Oh, and oh, wait, how did that even happen? Okay, that's all right. I can actually remove that. I can save it. I can go ahead and reload save scene. Okay, and 5T3. What is going on here? What? Why did it? Why did it re? Okay. Let's go ahead and save room data. Reload save scene. Okay, that's alright. Make sure it's gone from... Did I close that? Why did I close that? Doggone it. Okay, just a second. Okay, and then we got 5 T3, whereas 5 T3, the way out. Okay. And okay. I guess everything works. It's just weird. Let's reload the scene one more time. Reload save scene. Okay. Good, everything's good, I guess. No, oh darn it. Should have saved it. Uh Save room data. And reload save scene. Okay, good, everything's good. Okay, finally. Alright. Now I need to do something else. I need to go to... What was the rooms backup here? I need to go to some past backups because I need to go back to the original I'll leave those folders in there with that problem really. Um, Backup. Select the latest. Latest backup will be 10 here. 22 items. Okay. All right. So these are my original. Close. Close without saving. Okay. So these are the original 20 before I... Okay. Um, let's choose something. Um, Let me check something. That's a lot of text. I don't have a problem with it being a lot of text. It's just I didn't realize I had 4 new lines after the paragraph and before the actual um, words. I think I stopped doing that for some reason. Um, okay. Hmm. Chapter 1, here it goes for help. Mm. Let me think. I'm probably wanting I want to create a chapter list. And I probably should have done this before. That's sort of a map. I mean, it's always changing, so that is the whole reason that I never actually did that. that would also mean that hmm, let's see for a moment. Um, let me close this. Let me look at this for a second here. Where it goes for help. That's the your basically your first chapter. He finds John. They go in. Uh, he brings John in uh, via magic ticket, the silver ticket. The twin brothers is about the two dragons. Um, weird things are happening to the dragons. He's trying to find his friends, and they're all under enchantment. Hubert goes to school, is where he sends John to night school, and he himself goes to Wizard University, and then the other two schools. The tragedy of Sir William. That's right. This is actually one that I merged here. Uh, this is basically the unicorn walking up to the statue of ostensibly himself and overhearing the two knights talk about Wizard U, and so that's set up for his next thing to go. And that's the one that I combined with 6. So that became the tragedy of Sir William became the unicorn goes to school merged with that. Then the 5, the princess gets a room. 6 was Red Hot Riding Hood. Then so Brother Great, the good princess's great escape. Okay. Um. Well, I'm thinking whether I should use a Python script to take and like combine all the descriptions into a single file. So I just have a like a one reference, or if I should just manually write the chapters, including the way the layout is now, the current layout, so that I can kind of reference what goes where and stuff. Because I'm not really sure. But anyways, Princess gets a room is 5. That's where she is. She's trapped and she tries to escape, and she's caught, but ultimately ends up grabbing some very important papers. Then 6 is Red Hot Riding Hood instead of 7, that's shown here. And Red Hot Riding Hood is about Red has been hiding out in the mines, away from the werewolves because of what happened to Grandma. They had this good scam going, luring in werewolves and then taking their pelts and selling them on maybe on the Enchanted Lands black market if there's such a thing. Um, Maybe that's where Max gets all of his machinery and evil magic spells and whatever. He goes to the black market, and so she's in hiding, and Max somehow is able to find her, and he pulls her out of hiding and says, since she knows about the werewolves and knows how they work, uh, that he wants her to go and convince the werewolves to join his armies. And of course, she's reluctant at first because of what happened, and eventually she does, though. They don't eat her. Probably have a thing in there where they're about ready to eat her, and then she comes up with this last minute thing. Oh, guess what? He can remove the curse. And that's when they'll have to say, well, wait a minute. You know, Zan's brother Great. He's a con artist and a magician from our world, and he managed to sneak into a traveling wizards convention that's going back to Enchanted Lands, and so then he starts scamming people in Enchanted Lands, and accidentally steals from Max, who at first was going to destroy him, but had a change of heart, thought he could use him because what Max is doing is he needs workers for his mine. He's already got a number of them, but he still wants more. And at this point in the story, even though I haven't really said anything about it, um, Max is nearing completion. He's almost amassed all the Quicksilver that he needs, but he still needs a few more. So he's using Zanzibar's shows to actually get more workers, to get more slaves. Okay, and then the Princess's Great Escape. This is where Hubert and John come in, and they rescue the princess. Um, and then Zanzibar's last show, where he Max agrees to help him put on this last big show, and then of course Max was going to dispose of him at the end. Uh, but Zanzibar does manage to escape, but he's no longer in the story. And then Lost in Lapswood. Now the thing is a lot of these were had a specific order because I interleaved them. I moved things around to where you had like Act One, Act Two, Act Three, and the midpoint, and all that stuff. And this is sort of all wonky right now because I had to recombine some deals, and that's something I just have to live with, or I have to do this major restructuring where I go through each thing, make sure everything's in the exact right order that I want it in, and then start again. And obviously, I don't want to rearrange anything in the past, but so we have let me think here for a second. These are just numbers. Princess Gets a Room was the last thing. The last deal was that. Um, the Great Escape is now 8. So if you can think of this as one less. Anything past here, like Red Hot Riding Hood is 6. So this is 6 through 19, not 6 through 20. Um, and let me think here. So we're just dealing with rescuing the princess. And then, okay, so Red Hot Riding Hood is where we are introduced to the werewolves in Red. Essentially, she's Red Riding Hood. Her name is actually Scarlet Clover. And yeah, each time I go through this thing about names, I have this real issue with names on anything. Variable names, it does character names, it doesn't matter what kind of name it is. I always have to have the right name, and so I spend hours and hours just picking the right name. It's just a weird, little trait I have, little um whatever you want to call that, little eccentricity, or I don't know what you call it. Anyways, so I have to get their name right. But at the same time, even if I've been away from it for a while, then it starts sounding cringy. Scarlet Clover sounds pretty cringy to me right now. I'm not going to call her Red Riding Hood deliberately because she's the only fairy tale character, the actual fairy tale character I have in here. And so I wanted to kind of play that down while still actually having her as the character in there. We'll just say that the Grimm brothers managed to actually take a trip to Enchanted Lands. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Maybe they wrote their story based on. Well, supposedly the Grimm brothers actually went throughout Germany and collected folk stories, and then that's how they compiled them into their fairy tales. So Red Riding Hood, I believe, is a Grimm story, and so so we can just say, let's just say that some of their folk tales are based on some truth in it. Maybe Red Riding Hood was in our realm. Maybe she was a real person in our realm, and she managed to escape to Enchanted Lands at some point, or maybe not, because she supposedly was in school back when Enchanted Lands was not a tourist resort. It was just like Magic Kingdom. Okay, the tragedy. Okay, so Anyways, so she had the scam going. She doesn't want to go back. She's actually hiding out from the wolves because uh, one of them actually ate grandma because of what they were doing. So she's not on real good terms with the werewolves right now. And but Max does get her out of hiding. He kind of already knew where she was because she was hiding out essentially in his minds. Um, Basically, the gnome kingdom, the gnomes don't mind anything for themselves. They always steal and stuff. Max made a deal with them that if they would help him, that he would give them a tons of loot. He let them root loot different realms, loot and root loot different realms, and um, in exchange for their help, in exchange for being able to mine quicksilver out of their kingdom. And so that's where he has his minds up. And she is kind of holed up in the magic kingdom, in the gnome kingdom right now. So Max kind of knew where she was anyways, and just decided not to talk to her until he was ready. So there won't be a thing like finding her or nothing. It's just convincing her to work for him again, and she does, of course, because she likes him and that. And so she has to go to the village. She has to convince them to join Max's armies, and he entices them by saying that he'll cure their curse, so they can become men again and live like other guys, like other men, like other humans. And most of them take him up on the offer. Kurt is the second in command. He wants to take over the pack, and there's even a third in command. The third in command, he's loyal to Rottweiler. Um, but when he finds he's not necessarily that against Kurt per se, but he's just waiting, biding his time until he has an opportunity to take over, which he ends up getting able to do. And Kurt gets it in the end. But okay, so she goes down there, she makes the deal with them, and they get done. Now at the end, I had a scene where right after he goes and oversees the first activation of the Omni Gate. It's the first time we ever see it. Okay, so if I make it into a chapter, I think it's got to be after the blueprints, right? It's after chapter 5, so it's gonna definitely be after chapter 5, which it kind of already is. But now I'm thinking about other other positioning concerns. Princess gets a room. Unicorn. Okay. Zanzibar the Great, right? Then the escape. Then Zanzibar's last show. Now, where do I put in? I wonder if I could. I wonder if I could put Lost and Lapswood back. What if I? What if I jump Zanzibar's last show forward a little bit? Uh, we'll say, we'll say, let's go. Actually go to the project here, and let's go to John lands a date. The battle for Enchanted lands. John finds a good book. Uh, in search of vacay princesses. And yeah, I put vacay on purpose. I don't normally use the slang like vacay. You know, it's just something. I was just thinking it would be funny. I needed to kind of shorten the title a little bit, or I wanted to shorten the title. And so then I was just like, let's just short vacation to vacay, and maybe it's the way the princesses stop. Like, let's go on a vacay, whatever. Uh, okay, so then 15 is the totem of leadership. Okay, Violet. Kurt gets back. While they're. Well, this is going to be a big one, isn't it? Here, let me open that up. Red heads back to the rural village, and Kurt jumps out of the bushes and they tumble back in the forest. Kurt then takes Red's riding hood back to Violet at Fairy God College. Kurt reveals Red was promising to remove their curses, and he didn't want that. See, he doesn't want his curse removed. He thinks it's powerful. It gives him power. He asks Violet to enhance the effects. Violet agrees if he steals the totem leadership and brings it to her because she claims it will bind the pack to him. Okay. And I don't know if this was intended to be. I don't know if I intended to have to where she has a sometimes she has a thing with the totem, um, or if she's just doing this as part of the deal, right? Part of the deal to make him leader. Um, when Kurt gets back to the World Village, he goes into Rottweiler's hut and starts to grab the totem. Thorn, Rottweiler's third in command, stops Kurt from getting the totem. They fight, and Kurt takes the totem. Kurt returns to Violet Fairy God College. She casts a spell which visibly alters Kurt, and then goes back to the village. So it makes him scarier, makes him stronger, tougher, sharper teeth, sharper claws, everything. At the village, Kurt disposes of Rottweiler and most of his followers. When Violet casts a spell to alter Kurt, Thorn in the village sees Kurt's own followers change as well. Thorn goes and hides just out of town and waits. Back at the castle in the throne room, Max gets a magic mirror call. Barty, sitting on a squat throne inside the Gnome Kingdom, tells Max what has been going on. Max finds out that John and Roland and most of the slaves were rescued by Hubert. Max gets suspicious of Red's long absence and then gets a servant to go to find out what happened. The servant returns later with Red's hood and tells Max it was in the possession of Violet. Okay. So that's the totem. Okay. Um, so let's see what chapter 14 is back in the mines. I'm just trying to see if I can put the let's see, explosion. Uh, Slaves get released. Back in the bats in the belfry. Okay. We're just kind of going backwards here. Terror in the skies. Sir William lands on the west side of the terrace, the west side terrace of the castle, and lets Hebert off. Hebert starts to systematically searching for the grounds for Violet, taking care not to be seen. Sir William flies off. Sir William's flying, the Black Knight, all that said, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Battle, all that stuff. The Gnome Kingdom. Hebert dings the bell loudly a few times. Count as a bat flies in and rematerializes. Count tells Hebert Roland is waiting for them at SFC, and Hebert tells him to bring him back here. After Count comes back, Roland tells them that Max's Quicksilver mines are in the Gnome Kingdom. In the papers Princess grabbed are plans to some huge machine called the Omnigate. Hebert sends Roland and John into the mines to free the slaves. Black Knight. Okay, so this is 12, right? This is when they go, they actually go into the mines to, let's see, or, why did I call it the Gnome Kingdom? You know what? This isn't the Gnome Kingdom. This is, let's look at this again. I have to do a lot of rearrangement. Chapter 12, the Gnome Kingdom. Hubert dings the bell loudly a few times. The Count flies in. Max are in the Gnome Kingdom. In the papers, the princess grabbed. Our plans to some huge. Yeah, I mean, they're not actually going into the Gnome Kingdom here. Back to the mines. Um, Actually, what is this chapter about? I mean, if you could put it in, if you could put a title to it. Dings the bell loudly a few times. The count as the bat flies enemy materializes in front of them. Count tells Hubert. Hubert tells them that Max's Quicksilver mines are in the Gnome Kingdom. Um, okay, Roland tells them where the location is. So I have to come up with where. Do I have a chapter for Roland? I should. Um, Much Ado About Quicksilver. What is Much Ado About Quicksilver about? Hmm. Captain Roland goes in the Dwarf Mines. This should actually be. Seems to me like Quicksilver. Much Ado About Quicksilver. I can keep that the same, but the Gnome Kingdom should be called something else. Should it be called? Because there's actually several things that happen in here, right? And that is, I guess I'll leave it for the second. That's not really important as compared to what is important. This is where Roland goes in. This is where actually Roland's introduced, and this is actually chapter 11. But Lost in Lapswood. And there we are, back to Zanzibar's last show. I'm trying to decide if I should insert this chapter. Greetings, Abdul. Thanks for joining me. Here, I'll even type it in the chat here. Part 2 of today's episode. Not really an episode per se. It is and it isn't. It's just what I started calling them when I started doing. I started renaming them anyways. Um. So yeah. So Abdul, how'd you hear about my stream? Was it from uh was it from Discord or was it from somewhere else? And I could go through the whole thing about what it's about here. I guess I can give you like the 10-cent tour, I guess. So it's an adventure game. It's about a magic kingdom that's turned to tourism, and but it's fallen on hard times lately. And so we have a band of we have a wizard and a guy from our world and a princess from another realm, all trying to figure out how to what this big threat is, and then how to stop it. And I'm doing this in a way that um, eventually it's going to be a fully interactive 2D point and click adventure game, graphic adventure. But right now I've distilled it down to basic choose your own adventure text. There's no images or nothing, and I'm doing this in phases, which are my iterations. Thanks, Abdul. Appreciate it. Um, anyways, right now I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so let me show you the here. Let me show you this is actually a list of old rooms. These are JSON files. If you've been I don't know if you've been following or not. Um, and so far this is what I've already done. Now, essentially, these are just it's just an interactive narrative at this point, and I have decision points where you can like pick different choices, or you can pick how you experience the story right now. Later on, it'll have full puzzles and everything, but that's not until like the later phases. Anyways, so I'm working on chapter 6 about this girl named Red, and Max, our main villain, he wants to recruit werewolves into his armies, you might say, and I have this whole scene, which I'm supposed to be working on this chapter, putting in decision points in here. But first, I have to there's something I have to consider, and that is there's a story beat here where so basically this guy named Max, who's the villain, he's building this machine called the Omnigate because you can when you go to Enchanted Lands, you get your tickets and you get they're silver tickets, and they use this material called Quicksilver. It's just some dumb name that I picked out for it's like a magical mineral, and maybe it has some long scientific name or something, and so we're calling it Quicksilver anyways. And so you open a portal by holding on to the Quicksilver ticket and then reading the words on the back. And so your intention is to go to Enchanted Lands, and it opens a portal and you can step through. So you can have your vacation there on Enchanted Lands. Well, he's making a big. He created a device that allows him not to have to use Quicksilver in order to open a portal. But he still needs Quicksilver because he's building a giant machine that will open thousands of portals to multiple realms, and he's able to march whole armies through instead of like a few people that go on vacation. And at this point, we've only been introduced to the Omnigate, which is what I call the machine, the Omnigate. When the princess is kidnapped and she tries to escape, and she stumbles on a room that has the blueprints for the machine. So she has the blueprints at this point. But she hasn't been rescued. And then in this scene, Red is going to recruit the werewolves, and at the very end, Max goes back to the castle, and I call it the administration castle because as a tourist resort, this is where people check in and all that stuff. And so they basically run the park, the kingdom from the castle. But now it's not just a magic kingdom; it's actually running a resort. So I call it the administration castle because there's lots of administration stuff that you need to run like a theme park or a resort up there. And Max goes back to activate his machine for the first time. And so the reason I put this in here in this particular chapter is because this is directly as soon as he gets back from the werewolf village. And so I'm contemplating actually putting this into its own chapter where it actually activates the machine for the first time, and you see it running and stuff. And when I do that, I'm going to have to rearrange a few things. So I'm trying to figure out what would be a proper place to actually do that. So I'm looking at now. This is an old. This is my original. When I rebooted, when I restarted. See, before I was doing every single, like, I had 93 story beats, and it took me forever to do all these decisions. And so what I did is I went back to the 93 originals, recompiled them into about 20 chapters, and then that's the list that you're seeing here. Hey, Rook, welcome. Um, so let me see here. I combined. I had combined the Unicorn Goes to School with the Tragedy of Sir William. Sir William's a unicorn that got turned into. He was a knight that got turned into a unicorn, and he's trying to find a way to get the curse lifted. Anyhow, so I combined those two. So now this is still the Tragedy of Sir William, but includes everything that has to do with the unicorn. He ends up going into Wizard U, finding some books about how to get his curse lifted, and the princess gets her room is 5. That's where she's been captured, and she tries to escape. Then she gets the plans for the Omni Gate, and then 7, Red Hot Riding Hood, is basically about Red recruiting the werewolves. And then Zanzibar the Great is another. He's actually ends up being a kind of a villain, not like a super villain or nothing like that. He's basically, in our world, he's a con artist that managed to sneak into Enchanted Lands, and then he starts his con there because nobody knows him, and he can't. Nobody's gonna try. Nobody's after him, so he does that. But then he steals from Max, and that's kind of a big no-no. But then Max, instead of getting rid of him, he recruits him, and so because he needs more people for his mine, so he keeps grabbing people from the citizens and from the tourists and getting them to work in his mines. Now, let's see where we're at. So after John and Hubert find out where the princess is, they rescue her, and then we go to the next chapter, which is Zanzibar's last show. So since Red Hot Riding Hood involves Max and Red, and Zanzibar is a villain, I was thinking about whether or not I should put Max activating the machine as its own chapter in between there. But then it will be like 3 villains, and the other part of the story isn't there. So I'm thinking maybe I should move that up. Now, the in the last show, actually, let me open up that Zanzibar the Great. There's that. The Princess Escape. Then Zanzibar's last show here, and I have, let's see, Zanzibar shows to abduct more citizens and tourists. Goes from village to village. Uh, Max gets word the Omni Gate is ready for testing. Okay, so the first time is about is firing it up for the first time. Just the scene works, and then the second one is kind of about uh, a an optional test. Now, if I do this, uh, he should already have fired it up for the first time, which means I have to either remove it from here, or I have to move it into something else, or some other thing like that. And I'm thinking of actually putting that in here somewhere. Is ready for testing. Um, Honestly, I could actually put this after this. I could actually put it after this. But then again, I won't have like a buffer in between. So that's what I'm trying to think about, where to put the buffer. So if I leave these in the order that they are, and then after this put Zanzibar's last show, Lost in Lapswood. Um, I could probably. I'm trying not to stick two villain things together, but maybe I should anyways. The Princess's Great Escape. Maybe that should happen before. Um, Maybe I'll put it after here, and I'll put Zanzibar's Last Show after that. That might still work. Let's see, Zanzibar's Last Show. Down here is when he activates it for good, but in here is where he see, I don't have a chapter for that either. Huh. I have to think about that for a second. I mean, would you just have one thing that shows the Omnigate what it's supposed to do, and you know, this is supposed to kind of tell the player. It's also like a big midpoint, right? So I could put it in here anywhere. The machine. Much ado about Quicksilver. Hmm. That might still work because that's the kind of the big midpoint here, and it's actually the midpoint here. By the way, in my current thing is this is actually chapter 8, and this is actually chapter 9. That might work. They look over the plans and they start discussing the Omnigate. So I'm still trying to find a decent way of spacing in here. The Gnome Kingdom is even about the Gnome Kingdom. It's about there's several things that go on in that chapter in chapter 13. So it's probably going to change names. Although there is one portion of it, and that's where they send Roland and John back into the mines, or into the mines, together for the first time. Roland's already been in the mines, and he comes back and tells them. And so this will be, and the Gnome Kingdom happens. The mines happen. Max's mines happen to be in the Gnome Kingdom, which is why I originally named it that. But I think that's uh, not correct name now. Let's see. Back to the mines. Lost in Lapswood. See some here. Lost in Lapswood is 10. Um, Lost in Lapswood. So they travel to the motel. Much ado about Quicksilver. Roland enters in. Lost in okay. And then the Gnome Kingdom. Okay, this is where they make plans, right? Okay. So this is where our heroes learn about the Omnigate, and that is what's that chapter again? Chapter 12. What you do about Quicksilver? Lost in Lapswood. You know, I could put it right here is where I could put it. Couldn't I? Lost in Lapswood. When they get out, they get to the Bastion Belfry. Then, what you do about Quicksilver? The Gnome Kingdom isn't until later, which is good. What you do about Quicksilver? Lost in Lapswood. I think I could put it there. I think I put Lost in Lapswood. Then he fires the machine and tests it, and then I think we could do it that ways. That seems like the best kind of logical place to put it. That means I also have to take out. Okay. That also means I have to do like a lot of renaming, unfortunately. So let me think. Let me think. If I want to insert something in there, okay. So we're gonna do a little bit of house cleaning here, and I only got 30 minutes left today. For today. So today we're not actually getting to 6. We're doing some rearranging here, and I apologize for that, but I think it's kind of necessary. So what we're going to do is we are going to, okay, this is the backup thing. I don't care about the backup right now. Let's just go back up to here. Let's go back to here. Okay, and then let's go to rooms. And these are the actual rooms here because I'm already up. I've completed chapter 5 last week, and we're starting with chapter 6. But now I gotta do the thing here, which shouldn't be that hard. But it also means I have to go in and rename all of the. Actually, did I? I think. What did I do? Did I update names? Uh, remove everything from ID. Scan JSON. Compute new ID. Oh, exists. Fallback. I think this gives me a chance to do the updated version of this because I'm not going to be converting old pages anymore. This I'm just going to update names from label, and it actually does it with based on title and stuff. So I'm going to do a copy though, and what I'm going to do is we are going to let's see, start with 19. Let's go all the way back to update names. It updates names based on title, so I leave the title there, which is fine. It updates the IDs on doors though to match the ID the prefix. So if I'm going to put if I'm going to do all of these here, that, and I'll have to change that one when I get to it. But let's try this. We're going to try copying. I'm going to try to copy it to old rooms. And let's hit paste. And then I am going to go ahead and get the metadata. We're going to go to layout tool data, and we're going to do the same menu preface Hebert. Okay, that's fine. 5. Oh, way out. Let's see. We're going to these ones, right? Copy. And let's go over here to old rooms. Right, much ado about Quicksilver to John Land's a date. Say paste that. Now, what I'm going to do here is there's actually two things I'm going to do here. In fact, I'll do it here first. I'm going to do a renames, and I'm going to search and find. These are all 0, 0, star, underscore, star, dash. I wonder why there's a name collision. Let's expand this out so I can see it all. John lands a date. Why is there a name collision? In fact, it's even showing it correctly here. Oh, right. Because I'm not doing the replacement, right? Because that each of these are going to be the same name. Okay, so that's not a problem. So what I want to do is I want to rename them to 0, and we're going to start with 11, but 0 n. See, now on name collision. Oh, that's kind of the part of the problem. The problem is that T1 and C are different because I want it to I want to rename the same thing. If I do C star, that, and what 11C dash 11 T1 PO T1 PO. Okay, that's fine. Uh, wait, how come it just works? I mean, how come it does all of them? Because if I do star underscore C star, That's interesting. If I do, see if I back this up, it does that. But if I back this up and say that, oh, start number. That's not working, is it? Okay. Close. We're gonna have to do this the hard way. Um, rename. So that way, and I have to do it 4 times, I guess. So, okay. So now let's just do this. 0 star underscore C dash, and replace it with 0% N underscore C dash. That, and we want to start with 12 and not 11. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's exact same, and 12. That way it goes down to 20. I can rename those. Okay, and then let's go ahead and the non-C's. Let's take out the non-C's, and we're going to do the same thing with the non-C's. Rename, and we're going to say, instead of, we're going to find, oh, I have to do a new rename, I think. Rename. Okay, and then what we want is we want 0 star underscore interesting. T star dash. If I'm right, much ado about Quicksilver, much ado about Quicksilver. Gnome Kingdom, Tear in the Skies. That is fine. And then we're gonna rename them to 0% N. Underscore T star. What? That star isn't working for some reason. Let me do something here. I'm gonna put star here. Why is it replacing it with star? Okay, fine. We'll have to do this a different way. T one underscore P0, since it's all that. Do that with set P1 P0, which is fine. Luckily, they have the exact same footprint. Except now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do, right, 12. Right, right. Rename. There we go. What you do about Quicksilver, Gnome Kingdom, Tear in the Skies, Back to the Mines. Okay. So we got that. Now I need to go back to We're not in old rooms, though, are we? We're in just rooms. No, that's the metadata. This is actually the metadata, the actual metadata. So let's just go ahead and go back to here, and let's go to rooms. Let's go to old rooms, and let's do a rename on these. Let me see. Let me see if I can try something here. Probably not, because otherwise I would have done it already. But we're gonna try it anyways. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see if I can do a rename here. Rename, rename, rename. Why does it do that? Okay. We're gonna say 0 star cache. Okay, right. And these are all right. %n star dash. It won't do star on that. I can even use leading zeros, but that's dumb. Zero star underscore C dash. I can do this at the same time, though. I didn't need to do separate deals, but okay. We want to replace it with 0% C dash, and we want this to actually be starting at 12. That. Okay. So we should rename all those. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to say 0 star P1 P0 dash, and we're going to change it to P1 P0 dash. So that each of those are now renamed. Whoa, wait a second. What's going on here? What is going on? Okay, no, I'm gonna have to do it separately, I guess. Why did it do it that ways? That's weird. What the heck? I don't know if I can zoom. Can I delete? Well, you know what this means? Annoying. That's what it means. It means very annoying. Let's start with 11 again. Let's go to 11. Okay. And copy. And let's go back into old rooms. No, let's not do that. Let's go ahead and take this here and delete. And rooms. Are they still selected? No, they are not still selected. Why not? I have no clue, but Whatever is whatever. Copy, paste. Okay. Let's rename these. Annoying. I'm annoyed. Can you tell I'm annoyed? Good. Because I am annoyed. And I only got 10 minutes left. Doggone ya. Give an APNG support in re.lts. Okay. So let's do this again. Star. No. 0. Star. Underscore T1 underscore P0 dash. Okay. Replace it with 0 N underscore T1 P0 dash. This all the way up to 12. And now we got 12, 13, 14 through 20. Okay. Rename. Okay, let's close this. And let's go to C. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. 11 to 19. Right. Rename. Okay. 0 star underscore C dash 0% N underscore C dash. Bump this up to 12 and rename. Boom. Okay. So there's that. Now, here's the thing that I don't know if it'll work, but we're going to open a terminal and we're going to see if the step 4 will rename things like I want to rename them. So all it means is it's going to take the prefixes, it's going to match them, even the metadata ones. Well, actually, it doesn't need to do the metadata ones. I just renamed those. So we'll see if it renames all the doors and everything to um, up to up to 20. Okay, so let's do that. Python 3 step 4, which is not going to be step 4 anymore because I don't have any more old format room files. So names from label .py, and it should take it. I modified it so it would take title and would rename the title as well, and hopefully rename all the doors and everything. Just as long as everything is matching, it's going to match, and it's using it extracts the prefix, meaning before I updated all the prefixes on the file names, and it would go in and rename everything. And here we're just doing just the renames on that. Okay, so the only way to test it. Okay, first I'll check metadata just to make sure that everything doesn't look off. Right? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Old rooms. It just renamed everything back to, doggone it. Where is, maybe I got the wrong script. Manually retitle pages within the JSON files. Update names from label. Format pages. Chapter 11. Door to chapter 11. 11p1 from title. What? Why did it do that? Why didn't it do it based on... Oh, gone. They spent all that time renaming. It doesn't rename them. It's because update names. Maybe it's update all prefixes. Oh, that's right. Oh, I know what I did wrong. You manually rename the JSON prefixes. It fixes the... Now, the metadata didn't change because there was no need to change them. So they actually read from 12 to 20. And everything there reads correctly. But here it doesn't read correctly because I'm a dodo, that's all. Okay, so I'm going to have to do this again. And then I'll have to call it a day. In fact, I'm supposed to be done almost by now, but I gotta get this. I gotta fix this stupid thing here. Rename. Let's do this again. Why does it do that? Why does it do it twice? I close that thing. Okay, now I can start properly. Find 0 star underscore C dash. Replace it with 0% N underscore C dash. Start with 12. That. So it becomes 12. Rename. Okay, let's close that. Let's do these. Any of these that are not the C page. Oh, not that one. Okay. Let's rename. We're gonna do this again. Star, no, 0 star underscore P1 dash underscore P0 dash. Replace it with 0% N underscore T1 underscore P0 dash. Okay, rename. Oh wait, 12. So we're just gonna start at 12. To do about Quicksilver. Rename. Okay, now that I got that done, now let's run the dang Python 3 step 2 update all prefixes. .py. That should do it. Metadata renaming complete. Yeah. There, metadata should be nothing because it's basically just the same as the other. So I don't really need to do that. In fact, it wasn't doing those correctly anyways, and I figured since there's nothing else in here that I need to rename that ways, eventually I'm gonna take the metadata and put it in the file. In fact, I got a configuration file, and so it's gonna store all the metadata for each of the rooms in that configuration file. It's not gonna store the stupid metadata anymore, which I should actually do that fairly soon, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. Um, I still have to have a way of, like, adding and deleting and stuff that that isn't a problem here. Okay, so 12 through 20, that's normal. Old rooms. Now I'll have to open these up so I can see if... Right, open in text editor to see if it switched everything. Now I need a separate thing to actually change. It did, you know, chapter 11, go to 12. Oh, this is supposed to be chapter 12. Destination. Shouldn't be C chapter, it should be T. Why did it not update? Why did it do this to the doors? Dang it. I'm gonna have to rename a new. I'm gonna have to put these here. Just close these. Delete. Metadata. I'll have to fix it later. I'm gonna have like a completely new dang script. And it's gonna need to specifically do some specific things, which is when I change the prefixes, like when I do the rename like it just did, uh, it's gonna have to go through each one of those and it's gonna have to rename each of those based on the file name, based on the prefix on the file name. Because if we go to old rooms here, if we go to rooms here and we go to any one of these, we'll start at 11, right? This goes to T1P0. It doesn't go to the other. Chapter 11, Chapter 11. So let's do something here for a second. Okay. That all says Chapter 11. This here says Chapter 11. I can get a Python script to do that, but I'm going to have to do that another time, not right now, because I'm supposed to be done right now. So I guess I didn't really get a lot done today. I figured a few things out, and I decided on a thing, but that didn't really do anything, did it? So today was kind of almost a wasted day in a sense. Oh well. I mean, that's what happens. Sometimes that happens. Um, maybe I'll do the renaming offline because it's I have to get something to write a Python script for me because I'm not a Python guy, and so yeah. Anyways, uh, thanks for watching part two, and I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow might be another earlier day, where it's 11 o'clock Eastern instead of 11:30. So if you can extrapolate your time zone from that, Eastern U.S. time, and I guess I'll see you tomorrow.